All right, guys. So the New York City mayor race has taken a very, very interesting turn, as it looked like former NYPD police officer Eric Adams, had a strong lead, and then the ranked choice system kind of kicked in. And apparently, New York City and their elections board is having some issues, to say the least. Take a look.
To campaign 2021 and turmoil this morning in New York City's mayor race.
City election officials have retracted their latest vote count in the Democratic primary after realizing a huge error had been made. Thousands of test ballots were actually counted along with the actual ballots. CBS News' John Diaz joins us live from the Board of Elections headquarters in Lower Manhattan. Hard to believe, John.
Good morning. Yeah, hard to believe indeed. Well, critics, they are calling this one a major mess up. But the Board of Elections saying that it has already, though, removed these test ballots. And right now they are in the process of recounting these votes. This morning, the counting chaos continues after election officials say wrong votes were tallied in the city's Democratic primary for mayor, calling it a discrepancy. The Board of Elections released a statement explaining what happened, saying as part of ranked choice voting, the preliminary results they put out yesterday included both test and election night results, producing approximately 135,000 additional records. The discrepancy started to unfold shortly after the preliminary results were posted by the Board of Election yesterday afternoon. Kathryn Garcia had to be happy with the new numbers.
I am incredibly proud of the campaign we run.
But after she found out there was an error, she released a statement saying in part, quote, the BOE's release of incorrect ranked choice votes is deeply troubling and requires a much more transparent and complete explanation. The voting numbers said Adams had 51.1% of the vote, Garcia 48.9% of the vote, after counting ballots cast on Election Day and during early voting, with less than 16,000 votes separating the two. Adams' 9-point margin from on election night had shrunk to almost nothing. Adams raised questions about Board of Elections calculations that he said included 100,000 more votes than on election night. His press secretary saying, quote, we remain confident that Eric Adams will be the next mayor of New York. Already, critics are raising serious questions about the credibility of the board and its ability to execute elections. The Black, Latino, and Asian caucus of New York City Council is now calling for an oversight hearing. Mayoral hopeful Wiley voiced her concerns and said, quote, sadly, it is impossible to be surprised. Now, the results are expected to be updated sometime today. Meanwhile, though, there are still tens of thousands of absentee ballots that still need to be counted. So this mayoral race could still be a close one, and those results are expected to be announced sometime next week. We're live this morning from Lower Manhattan. John Diaz, CBS 2 News.
John, thank you.
All right, guys. So as you can see there, New York City is having some issues with ranked choice voting, right? And I think that this brings up a good conversation about ranked choice voting, because this is something that people have advocated for as a more fair way to conduct our elections, right? The advocates have argued that ranked choice voting is a better system because it promotes majority support. Because a lot of times in the current way that we do things, there are candidates that get elected that most people oppose, right? And most people don't like them, but because they're splitting the vote, right? They get elected despite the fact that they don't necessarily have a majority support. And advocates also say that it discourages negative campaigning because people don't have to worry about, splitting the vote or whatever, right? Like, it incentivizes people to campaign more on a positive message rather than a negative message. And it just promotes more choice among voters. That's what the advocates of ranked choice voting say, okay? And it being done in a city like New York City kind of puts it on a national stage for everybody to kind of see how this system actually works. It's important to talk about this system and what's going on here in New York City, because again, it is an interesting conversation about whether or not this process is just too confusing and whether it takes too long. And at the end of the day, is it just going to cause more chaos rather than actually fix the problem that it's claimed it tries to fix? So this is from the New York Times. Let's read a little bit more here about ranked choice voting and what's going on in New York City's mayor race. Quote, Under ranked choice voting, voters can list up to 5 candidates on their ballots in preferential order. If no candidate receives more than 50% of the first choice votes in the first round, the winner is decided by a process of elimination. As the lower polling candidates are eliminated, their votes are allocated to whichever candidate those voters rank next, and the process continues until there is a winner. So basically what happens is that if the first person that I rank as my choice, if they are eliminated, right? If they don't receive enough votes to advance to the next round, if they're in last place or whatever, they're eliminated. And then my next choice, my second choice, my vote goes to that person, right? And then it keeps happening, so on and so forth, until a winner is actually chose. So it's kind of complicated, and that's why it takes a while. The Board of Elections released preliminary unofficial ranked choice tabulations on Tuesday afternoon, showing that Mr. Adams, who had held a significant advantage on primary night, was narrowly ahead of Kathryn Garcia in the ballots cast in person during early voting or on primary day. Mayor D. Wiley, who came in second place in the initial vote count, was close behind in third place. The board then took down the results and disclosed the discrepancy. The results may well be scrambled again even after the Board of Elections sorts through the preliminary tally. It must count around 124,000 Democratic absentee ballots. Once they're tabulated, the board will take the new total that includes them and run a new set of ranked choice elimination rounds, with final results not expected until July. Some Democrats bracing for the acrimonious new chapter in the race are concerned that the incremental release of results by the Board of Elections and the discovery of an error may stir distrust of ranked choice voting and of the city's electoral system more broadly. Again, that is the concern here, because I kind of see where this is going to go, right? I don't think that anybody is going to be happy with the result, considering that this happened, okay? Everybody's going to have an excuse or be mad when they lose. In a statement late Tuesday night, Ms. Wiley laced into the Board of Elections, calling the error, quote, the result of generations of failures that have gone unaddressed, and adding, sadly, it is impossible to be surprised. Quote, today we have once again seen a mismanagement that has resulted in a lack of confidence in results, not because there is a flaw in our election laws, but because those who implement it have failed too many times, she said. The Board of Elections must now count the remainder of the votes transparently and ensure the integrity of the process moving forward. Ms. Garcia said the release of the inaccurate tally was deeply troubling and requires a much more transparent and complete explanation. Quote, every ranked choice and absentee vote must be counted accurately so that all New Yorkers have faith in our democracy and our government, she said. Quote, I am confident that every candidate will accept the final results and support whomever the voters have elected. I mean, I hope they do too, right? I hope that they have faith in the process, because they've told us that we should have faith in the process and that you must accept the final results. And Mr. Adams noted the unfortunate error by the Board of Elections and emphasized the importance of handling election results correctly. Quote, it is critical that New Yorkers are confident in their electoral system, especially as we rank votes in a citywide election for the first time, he said in a statement released on Tuesday night. Quote, we appreciate the board's transparency and acknowledgement of their error. We look forward to the release of an accurate, updated simulation and the timely conclusion of this critical process. If elected, Mr. Adams would be the city's second black mayor after David Dinkins. Some of Mr. Adams' supporters have already cast the ranked choice process as an attempt to disenfranchise voters of color, an argument that intensified among some backers on Tuesday afternoon as the race had appeared to tighten and is virtually certain to escalate should he lose his primary night lead to Ms. Garcia, who is white. Surrogates for Mr. Adams have suggested without evidence that an apparent ranked choice alliance between Ms. Garcia and another rival, Andrew Yang, could amount to an attempt to suppress votes of black and Latino New Yorkers. Mr. Adams himself claimed that the alliance was aimed at preventing a black and Latino candidate from winning the race. All right, so this guy, Eric Adams, whom currently is the leader, essentially he complained that Andrew Yang and Ms. Garcia, because they were campaigning together, right, in terms of how they want their voters to rank, right, their choices. He tried to say, well, they're trying to disenfranchise black people and Hispanic people, and they don't want a black person or a Hispanic person to win the race, right? So this guy, again, who has a long history of pulling the race card, literally had questions before votes were even cast. Okay, he was already kind of trying to question things before the process even started. Again, these are Democrats. These are Democrats. Okay? These are the same people that are always, talking about how you got to trust the system, right? You got to let the process work itself out. And that's what's happening. And as the process works itself out, I guarantee you, this guy is probably going to cry foul at the end. Okay? That's what's going to happen, right? That's what's going to happen. In the final days of the race, Ms. Garcia and Mr. Yang campaigned together across the city, especially in neighborhoods that are home to sizable Asian American communities, and appeared together on campaign literature. To advocates of ranked choice voting, the round-by-round shuffling of outcomes is a part of the process of electing a candidate with broad appeal. But if Ms. Garcia or Ms. Wiley were to prevail, the process, which was approved by voters in the 2019 ballot measure, would likely attract fresh scrutiny, with some of Mr. Adams' backers and others already urging a new referendum on it. All right. So, yeah, like I said, somebody is not going to be happy. And that is the issue that New York is currently dealing with right now with ranked choice voting. It's definitely not a good look for the system, considering that, this is their first time doing it. But hey, like I said, when, it's your first time doing things a certain way, mistakes are going to happen. As long as they fix it, it's fine. But, I just want to see if all the Democrats are just going to accept the results, right? Trust the process, like, they said that people should do this whole time. And I have no doubt in my mind that somebody's going to be mad, somebody's going to be upset, and somebody, probably Eric Adams, is probably going to cry foul if he happens not to win. Okay, so it looks like we may be headed towards something like that with this New York City mayor race. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.